what's your view on homosexuality?
Yeah, I am mindful that we're all sinners, and I caution those who may try to take the speck out of their neighbor's eye when they got a log in their own. The great threat to civilization is that a few evil men will multiply.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring. You mean like Democrats?
The fact that somebody decided that they would go ahead and leak classified information.
Failure to communicate.
You can all help.
Yeah, you don't need papers for voting. You don't need to be a registered voter to help.
So this is worse than a third world country.
I'm beginning to smell a big fat commie rat.
I've still not been accused of anything wrong because I haven't done anything wrong. And I'm not going to do anything wrong.
We're rich. We're filthy with dough. You're filthy without it.
Okay, this guy is the real zero.
I think there's some kind of deviated prevert.
My mission is to protect you.
You don't trust the man you're working with, you're as good as dead.
Governor Reagan again, typically, is against such a proposal.
Governor, there you go again.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Our government is too big and it spends too much.
And that, my friends, is called integrity.
You want to survive bad enough to stop me? Or are you reliant on my generosity, my love of humanity to stop me from killing you? The only thing between you and the POW camp is what you learned from me.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
The aggressive impulses of an evil empire. They are the focus of evil in the modern world.
We will go on the offense and we will defend our freedom.
Now that's the stuff leaders should be made of.
Brother, sorry about the quick switch over. Not so quick. Welcome, my brother. What'd you think of the opening? It's good to hear the old one. Yeah, it's good to hear an old one. Yeah. Although the George Bush part hasn't aged. It's aged a little bit. It's still ideal for George W. Bush, right? It's perfect because he still sounds. It's a strategery. We're not Bush fans here. I should say we're not George Bush fans. You have to worry about the log in your own eye before you worry about your brother's log in your eye. Yeah, we're definitely Bush fans, but just not George Bush's fans. Right, so before we go any further, brother, let's talk about our merch. So here we are. We have some merch. I am the Anomaly. Please make sure you get out there and buy it. You got some free Trump. We're all felons now. Look, that's what John's wearing right there. I prefer dangerous freedom to peaceful dangerous freedom to peaceful slavery. And there it is. Welcome to Adolf Biden's Banana Republic, which is the one I got on right now. So that's there's that, brother. Make sure you get out there and get our merch. Of course, we got the Wheel of Destiny there, which we will be maybe talking about later. So, brother, anything new going on? I mean, we had July 4th. It's a great spectacle. Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day. About 12 years ago, I guess Mark Levin went on radio and suggested to every small town, they go out to the green and they read the Declaration of Independence. And I had the privilege and the opportunity to go to one of those readings this last Thursday at the Village Green in Newton. And I got to hear them speak, put up on my Facebook. I think it's up on regular Facebook. Saw three of my former students who showed up to celebrate too. I got a picture with them. It was pretty cool. I was wearing my Captain America shirt. Neato. But it was nice. It was good to hear them. It was an hour-long presentation. They just didn't read the Declaration. They talked about the lead up. They did some history. They did some good history. So that was well worth the hour. And next year, hopefully,
it's actually 248, right? And 2 years from now, it's going to be a big deal.
Right. And so I think we should be broadcasting that stuff. So I'm going to see if we can't get it for the next one. I talked to the organizer about helping them out.
In a bigger note, it's almost also you told me the anniversary of Rocky.
Yes.
So
yes,
Philadelphia is going to move the
Rocky
statue. It's going to move the statue back up to the top of the steps.
Yes,
and screw you all you elite creeps who moved it down to the bottom. Because every year, because I drive by there all the time, and I would see all these poor little cancer, these cancer survivors, all these girls, when they get off the bus, they're surviving cancer, and they all run up the top of the steps, and they do the Rocky, and then they got to go find Rocky because he's not at the top of the steps. He's down off to the side. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's absurd.
Right. No, and it's a mark of. It's some anti-Italian stuff. They don't want the. They got rid of Christopher Columbus, right?
You come to Philadelphia for the Liberty Bell, which is okay. Independence Hall, which is the only amazing building in all of America. Right, it's absolutely amazing. It's where they did the Declaration.
So much history there. So much history.
Yeah, and it's absolutely amazing. And the Bill of Rights. And of course, the real reason why you come there is so you can run up the stairs and you can go.
No, and you know what, John? John, I'm going to take it to the next step. Be Rocky for that one few moments,
right?
Because the underdog, the guy who's not quitting, the guy who's not going to quit, the guy who's not going to surrender, because they want you to surrender, John. They want you to surrender.
Right, Rocky, and Rocky will be coming, and it will be amazing.
Supposedly they're going to be doing a whole. I heard they're supposed to do a whole run. His route through Philadelphia, and then end up at the steps where there's going to be some kind of celebration. I don't know exactly when. It's probably going to be July 4th, honestly. I'd imagine they would do something like that.
Well, if Trump is president, can you imagine how big that is? How good that's going to be?
Why not?
In America.
It'd be great. Maybe he'll be there. Maybe he'll start them off.
Trump is Rocky.
That's right. I like that. Trump is Rocky. I'm going to put that on a shirt. Trump is Rocky.
Put his face in there, right?
Yeah, why not?
In the meme.
Yeah, Trump is Rocky. No, it's good.
It's a shame Apollo's passed, but he's up in heaven.
Yeah. And so is so many of them.
Lou Gossett Jr. Lou Gossett Jr. When you're opening, I was thinking about that. Yeah. Where you been all your life? An orgy, bad mouthing your country, and listen to punk rock and roll?
All the girl poopies to the left, or the boy poopies to the right.
All right. James, you look to me like one of those guys that would fly off to Cuba and sell your F-14. Right?
Yeah, no. It was a great one. There was the other one I was going to play. It's just too much cursing in it. Too much cursing. It's the one, I can't remember the other guy and the guy who killed himself in that movie. That character, he's talking about how you have a responsibility, and we're not animals. He just curses a lot. But anyway, brother. So let's get on with our show. Let's talk about. We have a whole bunch of different names for Joe Biden, but we have a new one tonight, brother. The Stroker in Chief.
Oh. What is he doing? James, you're slowing this down. It really wasn't that bad. I can't hear anything about the music that you were playing earlier.
Oh, you can't hear. Oh, you can't hear it. That's right, because that was my fault.
That's the version with no music.
It appears that the jackass has wandered off in search of some BBC. Why this wrinkled old creep would want the British Broadcasting Channel is beyond me.
The Stroker in Chief.
Meanwhile, it is unclear what precisely has caused climate change Barbie to turn away from the scene of this developing bromance. It could be the awkward forearm stroking, or perhaps it is the stench of uncontrolled flatulence. These subtle yet perplexing behaviors add another layer of intrigue.
I wonder if that's a Secret Service agent that he walked around naked in front of.
To the unfolding drama of our political world. As this wrinkled old jackass strokes his new friend's forearm, as though he is attempting to milk a sausage, it remains unclear whether the jackass's advances are welcomed, or if this man is going to return home and bleach his forearm skin in an attempt to remove the filth of Bidenomics from his body.
James, that's a cheap fake. That's a cheap fake.
It's definitely not a cheap fake, brother.
It's a cheap fake.
Definitely not a cheap fake. So at first I thought about this, and I was spending way too much time going through the Facebook Reels and such, and I came across this very delightful video. It's a YouTube Reel, I should say. Two of them back to back. Believe it or not, they came up back to back on my feed. So there's this one that has Trump right after hugging his grandchildren. Grandfather asked Trump, "Will the grandchildren be able to have the same great life?" And look, he really cares about his grandchildren. Look, they come up to him, they want to see him. Such nice kids, right? And I compare this. I thought about this with this video here.
President Joe Biden claims that the children of America are all our children. But he's taken that claim a little too far on many occasions. It's very strange in his interactions with kids. Arguably the strangest of Joe Biden's creepy behavior is his hair sniffing and close proximity to children's faces. Here's just a few of those moments.
Yeah. Let me whisper a secret.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. He sniffs too many children, that man.
Times when he gently rearranges a young girl's hair and whispers in her ear, then rearranges some more. There's nothing pervy here. The VP knows he's on camera at these swearing-in ceremonies.
Nothing pervy, John.
Right
Nothing pervy. That kid doesn't feel like she's dealing with a perv at all. The woman's just getting proof for when she wants to bring a lawsuit against them. That's why she get the camera out.
Joe, stop eating the children. This may be some of the creepiest creepy Joe behavior I've ever seen, and I watch this stuff for a living. Here, the president was giving a talk about conservation actions taken by his administration when he spotted, you know where this is going? A small child with lots of very sniffy.
By the way, John, why do we have to go to Australia to get this information?
Right.
Let's have a look.
Look. Children.
Oh, there he goes. He sees the kid. Yeah, picks her up. Yep. Oh, it doesn't look happy.
John, I always seem to like when I see him do this stuff. Do you remember that scene from Blues Brothers where Jake and Elwood are in the restaurant and Jake acts like he's the sheik and he goes, "How much for the little girl? How much for the little girl?" That's all I'm thinking right now. That's all I'm thinking. Anyway, I guess probably that's enough of Joe's the contrast between the creepy Joe and the kindly old grandfather who loves his grandchildren and loves his kids too, because he didn't. John, what was the question you asked me? You asked me how many times did Trump with his daughter?
Right. How many? No. That was like showers with daughter. Trump, 0.
0.
Biden, we don't know. Lots, apparently.
Lots, yeah.
Enough to turn his one daughter Ashley into have a sex addiction problem that she has to go to rehab over, right? So that's another one of those Trump statistics which are absolutely amazing. Like 0 wars. First president in 78 years with 0 wars.
Yeah. 0 wars.
First president who puts $6,000 in the felt pocket in the pocket of the middle class. Only one since 1960, right? And of course. famously, we should add in there, showers with daughter. Trump, 0. Biden statistics aren't so good. Actual food prices about be up 400%. Gas prices up 200%. Inflation, anywhere from 25% at least. Right.
According to the dollar store.
Right. Wars. One kicking off in the Middle East. One kicking off in Europe. World War III is kicked off in Europe because he said, Putin can make a minor incursion, which turned out to be, he was figuring, wow, I might as well take,
John,
and this is a part
Biden said just the tip. Biden said just the tip.
Yeah, right. And, and so, and of course, he lies and says nobody got hurt. No, he didn't lose anybody in the debate. Never gets fact checked on this too. Nope. Debate. I lost nobody in Afghanistan. And the truth of the matter is Trump said, is the one who got all the deaths stopped in Afghanistan. And he did it very simply by going to the meeting with the Taliban head, putting down a picture of the guy's house and said, "One more dead American, your family is dead," and walked out of the room. And that was the end of that. And only good old Biden comes in, wants to do a political stunt by ending the war by 9/11, so he could do a victory lap. Ends it early, despite what the general says, and then the next thing you know, you have 13 dead Americans, 39 injured forever, and he drones some poor Afghan father of 7 and takes a victory lap for that.
And it wasn't the father wasn't involved in it at all.
The entire Biden presidency, just like the entire Biden election, has been a cheap fake from the very beginning, right? And that's why I don't why we should let them off the hook. The American people have now part of it's not all the American people's fault, because the American people, we have to give them the reality of it's not that they're dumb. That's the lie from the left, right? The lie from the aristocrats is the American people are stupid and they need to be told what to do. And they're because they are the elites. They not only have the duty to tell us how to live our lives, they have the divine providence of the divine, direction to tell us how to live our lives, right? That's the lie of the left, right? The aristocrats can tell us how to live our lives. No, what it is the American people are too busy surviving in Biden's horrible America to pay attention the way we pay attention. But also, that's not their job. The presidency is supposed to be a small, the government is supposed to be a small thing anyway. They're supposed to be just answering the phone in case of crisis. It's not supposed to be this imperial presidency, this imperial judiciary, this imperial federal fucking goddamn government, right? We're all supposed to be doing the things that America does that makes the world. Idiot Obama, you didn't build that creep. You idiot Elizabeth Warren, you didn't build that creep. It's the American people who built the world. It's the American people and free markets that have brought, this is the most amazing thing from 1700s when the Industrial Revolution started. 95% of the population of the world was in dire starvation. Meaning every day they had to fight for food. Every day. 95% of the population. Since then, thanks to free markets, just in 2020, it's completely flipped. 5% of the world has to fight for food. That means that 95% of the world doesn't have to fight for food. That means that even though it's an order, it's like 2 or 3 orders bigger now, because the population then was only less than 1 billion, and now it's 8 billion. Think about that. How much more efficient we had to get in raising food and stuff, all because of free markets and American people doing what they have to do, and the rest of the world going along. But all of this last 4 years has been nothing. 5 years has been nothing but a cheap fake. We knew it because we were paying attention to it. Joe Biden did not get 81,000 votes. They stole that election. He did not go out and campaign. The reason why is because everybody knew then he was a nincompoop and he was suffering dementia. Now, my argument is this. My argument is twofold. Number one, yes, you can make the argument. You can make the argument. You'll make the argument. Oh, we have to impeach him. Blah blah blah. We'll get into that. But I'm thinking like, listen, he's never been in charge anyway. It's always been Anita Dunn and the Obama creeps anyway, right? And they've always been destroying this country for the last 4 years anyway. And the president isn't that important anyway. The whole purpose of the president is not to be important. All he's got to be is the guy who answers the phone at 3 a.m. That's it. So I say, you know what?
Not going to happen. He stops working after 8, John.
Right. He's evil. He's always been evil. He's always been a corrupt, evil creep.
Yep.
He deserves to lose big time. He deserves to have the biggest wipeout in history. And God's going to make a point. So he deserves this day. And the American people need to be woke up. That's why we need another 4 months of this. So that it gets through the American people that, listen, we, the people, American people who did vote for Biden, made a huge mistake. And they got to learn.
I would like to just point out, I mean, you're making a great point, but what more evidence do we need of Trump's mendaciousness, is maybe that's the word to use, is because if you go back, remember, John, not only did he plagiarize significant parts throughout the years, not only did he keep apparently classified documents at home illegally, but do you remember the Clarence Thomas when he was going before the Supreme Court? Remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do
you have it? Can you play it? Because I can make I would make the argument, because at some point in there, he wants to dance around the fact that he's an absolute racist, and he's just doing.
And I got into this argument before with somebody because they had George Floyd and they had Clarence Thomas, and they're like, why are we celebrating George Floyd and not celebrating Clarence Thomas? And it comes down to, listen, Clarence Thomas had a political lynching by that racist Biden 30 years ago. I mean, we know what kind of quality he is because he was leading the charge to go after the black man, because we know that he uses, different words to describe black people that we know are inappropriate. And he also uses different, he hung out with grand dragons of the KKK. And speaking of which, are we going to have another, war at the upcoming convention in Chicago, like we did, the Democrats had 50 years ago or something like that, 40 years ago? We could talk about that too. But anyway, my point goes back to, yes, you're right. He is a mendacious, lying, cheating piece of racist garbage.
Corrupt,
right?
Sold out the country for money, for millions of dollars.
Yep. But John, he does not yet fit the 25th, the cause to remove him because of the 25th Amendment. You ready to move on?
Go ahead. Gotcha.
Here we go.
There's no way that Joe Biden's going to finish his term. I think Kamala Harris is going to be the next president, and that should send a chill up every American's spine. But also,
by the way, just as we're clarifying, I don't know if you can see on the screen, it says 3:47 p.m. July 2nd, 2024, which in my recollection is 4 days ago.
And who is that? That's the Republican Hillary. Hillary, go home.
Yes, it's the Republican Hillary. Yeah, Nikki Haley. Yes, very good.
Hillary, go home.
Also think the fact that we have a primary.
Excuse me 1 second, Ambassador. How do you know that Joe Biden's not going to finish his term? What is that based on?
You ask Americans, do you think he's going to finish his term? Do you think that he's actually going to finish what he started? We look at the decline he's had over the last few years. You have to be honest with the American people, George.
Again, you didn't answer the question. What evidence do you have that he's not going to finish the term? What Americans feel has no basis on whether he's going to finish his term or not.
The American people know it.
You agree
and
with Joe Biden on Ukraine,
don't you? We need a new generational
don't you?
leader who is at the top of their game.
I was watching the debate. You agree with what he's doing on Ukraine.
So wait for it, John. Wait for it. Not only did what?
But wait a minute. I'm doing my Mark Bettis. But
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What's this?
Here we are, less than a day ago.
Well, that is true, but 2020 was a close race. And your approval rating has dropped significantly since then. I think the last poll I saw was about 36%. The number of Americans who think you're too old to serve has doubled since 2020. Wouldn't a clear-eyed political calculus tell you that it's going to be much tougher to win in 2024?
Not when you're running against a pathological liar. Not when he hadn't been challenged in a way that he's about to be challenged.
Orange man good all of a sudden.
Wrong orange man. Wrong orange man.
Wrong orange man. So what we clearly have, John, is a contest, a dueling set of Georges. A dueling set of Georges. This George who says, get out of the race so I can get my girl Hillary in there. And this George...
Well, he found the facts. He found the evidence, at least.
Yeah, from Haley, from this Hillary's version.
Maybe Haley gave him the evidence. He's afterwards, right?
Maybe, but not that it's definitely a case of the dueling Georges, definitely.
But you don't understand. I'm the guy who fixed NATO. I'm the guy who made NATO. I'm the guy who invented this computer chip. You have those clips? I just did them.
Not when people.
You've had months to challenge him.
Oh, I sure had months, but I was also doing a hell of a lot of other things like wars.
Wait! Did you hear that, John? That's the priceless one. You ready? Hear what he was doing.
Doing a hell of a lot of other things like wars around the world, like keeping NATO together.
Well, that is
Like
true.
wars.
But 2020 was a close
Wars, like starting wars around the world and having wars around the world. The man is proud of that, John. The man is proud of it. We have
the
now
problem with
reached
one of the problems
level.
with evil is you believe your own bullshit. That's the part of the problem, and that's why he's going to stay in. He's going to stay in because he needs to stay in for a couple reasons. For the Biden
Is that your
crime
prediction?
family.
Is that your prediction?
I predicted he's staying in. Even believe when you try to game out what your enemy is going to do, you got to think like your enemy. Your enemy is evil. He is, but he believes his own bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So he knows that he has to stay in because the Biden crime family, his brothers, his sisters, everybody, Hunter, they've gotten all this money from the Chinese, from the Russians, from the Romanians, and I know they're from the Ukrainians. I'm missing a ton of people, right? You got a ton of money they have hidden in these shell corporations. He needs to stay in to at least a point where he can pardon them all. So he's going to stay in. Now, what he also, does he actually believe that he can do another 4 terms? Yeah, he does believe that, right? To whatever small mind is working in that mind anyway. And in his defense, I can point to the Clarence Thomas hearing where at the end of it, because he's talking such kind of babble, he's babbling on because he's trying to dance around the fact that he's a racist pig being a racist towards Clarence Thomas. He asks him, you understand what I'm saying? And Clarence is going, no, I don't understand what you're saying. I have no idea. Just like, Trump did on the stand on the, during the debate saying, I don't even think he knows what he's saying at this point. He's always been a mendacious, a moron. He's always been a freaking moron. His entire presidency has been one cheap fake, and a cover up. It's been a cover up by the media, right? And so now the media wants to get rid of him because they can see how bad this is going to be. However, so even though he wants to stay in, that doesn't mean he's going to stay in because the people he surrounded himself with are also evil. These people worship materialism. They worship communism. They are communist. They, the material God, the devil has tricked them into worshiping materialism and stuff like that. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in God and they don't worship God. And because of that, they can't even look at themselves and go, well, look, I'm a sinner. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to do this. They're not going to tell themselves the truth ever because they can't ever tell themselves. Brilliantly, brother Liberty number 2 had pointed out, they can never admit that they were wrong. Because if they ever admit that they were wrong, they would have to look in the mirror and they would realize that they are the Nazis, that they are the National Socialists themselves, that they are all of the evil things that they say. For example, you just saw him in the debate. He's a pathological liar. Now, in the legal world, thanks to Beaver Fry, this, by the way, hat tip to Beaver Fry, that's called this beautiful concept, confession through projection. You project your sin on somebody else and you accuse them of it. The left has always been doing this. This is a communist thing from the very beginning, right? Because it's an evil thing from the very beginning. Confession through projection. So who's the pathological liar? It's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump says the truth way too much. No, not enough. He gets up there and he literally says the truth. That's the reason why we love him. That's why we listen. We listen to the rallies because he'll just spit out the truth about what happens. I mean, even about aliens, he'll spit it out. Did you see it to Jake Paul? Remember we had it on there a little while. Let's just spit out what the truth is, right? And He is not. He's the exact opposite of a pathological liar. Who's the pathological liar? Joe Biden and the fake press, right? Good old Georgie Stephanopoulos is the pathological liar. So, the path to this Monday, Senator Warner who's a moderate, is already busy behind the scenes getting together a group of people saying they're going to say to George, say to Biden, time to step down, because the press has now abandoned him. The New York Times and the rest of the press have now abandoned him because look at it. They know they can read the polls, and all the polls go really bad. So if it keeps going further, what do they have to look forward to? Another debate? Well, he's not getting any better. That's why they did the debate now in June, rather unprecedentedly, instead of the conventions.
This debate was supposed to calm the donors and calm everybody down because he was supposed to blast Trump out of the park.
But they all knew.
Doing so, he was going to be better. That's the story.
They knew what we knew. He's been this way for the last since he was in the basement. That's why they didn't let him out of the basement during COVID. This is why they did not let him. He was okay when he was debating against the other Democrats, but he became really bad in the basement, right? And they knew this when. So they put the hit. The press is no longer on board. So on Monday, now how the 25th Amendment works? Well, good old Kamala, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Kami rhymes with communist. Kami Harris, right? Has to get together and with half of the cabinet, 25%, about 25 people in the cabinet, the president's cabinet, half of them have to agree. They get together. They send a letter to the pro temp, I think it's Murray at this point, and Speaker Johnson saying that they have to invoke the 25th Amendment. She becomes acting president. They send a letter to the president. He has to defend himself in front of Congress, and they have about 21 days to work this all out. In the meantime, she becomes the actual 46th president. So don't don't buy all that Trump 46 gear yet. Hold on to it. Hold on to your britches because he might be actually the 47th, the 45th and the 47th president, right? But then they have 21 days to figure it all out, and he has to defend himself from this. And why shouldn't Kamala do this? Listen, it would increase her defense. It would increase her her application to be the nominee, and it doesn't look like any way, shape, or form he's going to step aside because he can't. He is so corrupt, and the Biden remember he famously when his first two presidential runs, he was the poorest man in Congress, and then he sold out completely under Obama, and now. Although he has nothing, he's never produced anything, he's never made anything, he's never done any real estate. Now him and his family is worth untold millions. We don't know how, and there's at least 20 shell companies. So he is staying where he is. And Jill loves the limelight, and she likes being the first lady. So he's not going anywhere. So the only way to get him out is if we see another, as we said from the very beginning, if there is an incident where he gropes a female child or something like that, that's why we're doing the stroke. If there's something like that happens, if he has a brain meltdown like that, then there's going to be a problem. But she can step forward at any time because she too, as dumb as she is, she's as dumb as he is or dumber and completely corrupt. This is a woman who, when she was the lead prosecutor, would brutally put people away, send people away for years and years and years with the unfair drug laws, and then go smoke herself and make fun about it. Right? This is a completely corrupt person. She cheated with Willie Brown's the head. She monkey branched her way up to Willie Brown to have an affair with him so that she could become somebody politically from the very beginning. She's got no qualms about what she needs to do to get to power. So the chances are good that she's going to try and invoke the 25th Amendment, and all she needs is half. Then it goes to Congress, right? And then if all the Republicans side, well, Congress is about 50-50. And enough of the moderates, and that's what really is going to determine it. Enough of the moderate Democrats who don't want to, go down with the sinking ship, Biden could be out. He could actually be out. It would be perfectly appropriate because it couldn't happen to a nicer scumbag. There's never been a scumbag as bad as Joseph Robinette Biden as president. I don't think there is anyway. It'd be a hard argument to make that there is.
But so ideally, you're suggesting that they vote, because that's where I was saying that as Republicans. And by the way, I heard in my research that Van Jones was reporting that the Black Caucus will abandon the Democrats if they try to get rid of Kami. So if they try to push her to the side, they have spoken as a group, and they're basically going to say, no, we're not going to support the Democrats in this. We will be Democrats, but we will not be out there supporting whoever you select above her.
Well, how did we get Kami? Right? Because remember this, in the California party, there's the two parts of it. There's the Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, rich, spoiled socialists, never worked a day in their life party, right? The rich socialists who run California. But there's also the last party, big city government, big party, Chicago boss Tweed, New York City boss Tweed type, which is Willie Brown, right? So that's actually the half, the person she was sleeping with, and he's the last big city, corrupt politician type running a city. So there's a split in the California party that way. Well, when she was the first one to jump out of the Democratic primaries because she's so unappealable. But when it came time to look around, and they didn't want to give it to Bernie because he's a complete communist and he was going to go down in flames. The deal that was cut was that, hey, listen, we know Joe Biden is an old time racist, but he still represents the old white people of the Midwest, right? Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the blue wall that fell during Trump's win over Hillary, right? So the deal was, we're going to unite the Black power base of California, the last with Clyburn, who gave the okay in South Carolina, right, to create the Biden presidency, right? With joint with Biden. So that's the power dynamics behind it. So when they think they can replace him with a Newsom, wrong power base, right? You're mixing European electricity with American AC, right? It doesn't match, right? And so the original power base, Claiborne's still alive. He's the South Carolina version, the big party boss, leading of the Democrats, in South Carolina. That's still alive. So there's still that party base, even though she hasn't done anything to deserve it other than getting on. Well, I don't want to say what. She's the 3 a.m. call. The 3 a.m. call. She's been anointed. She's been anointed, and that's her quote power base. Although it's owed by other people. So you can't diss that. Right. And then how are you going to approach it? So, is Obama going to come down from Chicago and tell Claiborne that, no, we're replacing her with my wife? Probably not. And she doesn't represent that anywhere. The Obamas are the sellouts. They're the Harvard, Princeton, Yale sellouts, right? They're the rich. I mean, just to be clear, it's not his black half that I hate and detest. That's from Kenya. I love people from Kenya. No, it's his white leftist nut job half that I hate, right? So is that going to replace it? So it is Kamala's turn at this point. She's earned it. She's done a lot of hard work. So why should she give it up? And she's young. She would be the first well, she's not really black, but the first Jamaican president of America.
John,
Jamaican Canadian president of America.
So
why should she give it up?
Let me throw some sauce onto this goose, okay? Let me throw some sauce onto this goose. Here we go. Here we have a report from Gateway Pundit.
So Joe Biden's doctor met with a top Parkinson's disease specialist at the White House. Visitor logs show that Dr. Kevin Connard, renowned Parkinson's expert, had a meeting with Joe Biden's doctor, Kevin O'Connor, at the White House clinic January 17th. According to the Mayo Clinic, in early stages of Parkinson's disease, your face may show little to no expression, your arms may not swing when you walk, your speech may become soft or slurred. Sound like anybody? It's worth noting that Biden's personal doctor gave him a clean bill of health. He said that he's fit to serve, but his examination did not include a cognitive assessment test. I think the American people deserve to know the results of.
So there's that, and then there's this little piece from Georgie again. Scratch that. Let's try this.
Martha Raddatz, the president is talking to a lot of
Where he
people.
asked-
He appears to be listening to a very tight circle.
A very tight circle, and administration officials I have spoken to said that very tight inner circle is telling them he can win, that he needs to keep going. This, of course, includes his wife, Jill, who they said is lashing out at those who want him to get out.
So in all reality, she sees herself as the next Edith Wilson, who was the wife of
James. No,
Jill
James.
Wilson.
You got it all wrong. You forget. She's Dr. Jill. She's a doctor. She can handle this, right? But so the Republicans, so what your Republicans can do, because they can force this, right? Representative Luna
They
has
need to
pointed
force
out
it.
that
They need to force it.
well, that's what your argument is going to be, right?
That's what my argument is.
The way they would work was Representative Luna has pointed out that all they have to do is get the House Sergeant of Arms to get a motion, declare Merrick Garland in contempt because he won't produce the actual audio of the interview with Special Prosecutor Hur and Biden, right? They have the transcript, but the transcript is a fake transcript. And, you know, this is one of those things. If this was a criminal, we have to do this all the time in the criminal world. Where there's a transcript, people make mistakes, but also sometimes you get transcribers who favor, like, say, the police and leave things out, right? You got to get the actual audio. That's why the, quote, court of record is a real court of record, and they actually they actually record it all so you can hear exactly what's being said. So they could force the issue by the Republicans can force the issue by grabbing up Garland, making him produce the actual audio. And then there's only one reason why that guy is not providing that audio, because it's worse than what the transcript says it is. Okay, and then you play that. Now you have an excuse for the rest of the for the rest of the world to then Amendment 25 Biden. Okay, now you have the official excuse, right? Because now they've done it. I say, though, they shouldn't do any of that. You know, you can make the argument. Go ahead and make the argument. Make the argument about the defense of America.
My argument is, first off, we have the guy in charge. I think the strongest part of the argument, not political, this is a non-political argument. Our country is vulnerable to attack every moment that he's sitting in the White House, because we are not, the debate was not broadcasted just in the United States and just to people who are Americans who are voting. It was broadcast to the world. Our enemies and our friends see exactly how bad he is. Many of them probably already had a good inkling as to what his condition was,
James,
because of his behavior at
do.
G7.
All of them do. They've all known. That's why Putin
I'm talking about, but here you get, I should say, let me put it a different way. You get reports, you get intelligence reports. You never really know the level of accuracy of those intelligence reports. Now they do. They had front page, or I should say front row view of the collapse of Joe Biden's mental capability and his absolute and utter failure to be able to think through a process. You push him on a nuclear or an invasion of Taiwan, a threat to the European NATO countries, a threat to Israel. Where's he gonna break? Maybe they get lucky and the military just, steps in and does whatever. And I say lucky because it won't make him look completely feckless. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying it's lucky for him. But what if we don't? What if he's having one of his senior moments throughout the entire crisis? You remember the quote from the debate with Reagan and Mondale, where that very honest reporter said, "Listen, I saw JFK during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was stressed out beyond his belief. He was
up all night.
He was up all night. Do you really think that this jackass, as the BBC reporter put it, this jackass is able to handle that? The answer is no, he can't. So from a non-political point of view, just like I'm an American, Democrat or Republican, they have to see he's got to go. He's got to go. Now, from a political standpoint, the Republicans have been trying to get rid of this ass clown for 3.5 years. We have vocally gone out there and hammered him. We have attacked him. We have stood up to the media. We have called the media out. We have basically done all this work to lay the line out of what a feckless, coward, worthless piece of garbage he is. And he's incompetent because of what we saw. We knew that. We were fighting this fight years ago before he came into power. And so as Republicans, at this point, we're not taking advantage of it. If we don't go out there and say we want to save the country, an incompetent, ridiculous, red-kneed president who thinks she's the first black woman, but she's Jamaican, is better as a president than a guy who doesn't even know where he is. That's what they need to do. She's better only because of that. So we should be making that argument, because if we don't, then what have we been doing for the last 3.5 years? We've been trying to save our country. Listen, we wanted to get rid of him not just because of the election and how the Democrats manipulated it and how he's not the guy who should be in the office, not just because he sniffs little girls, not just because he showers with his daughter, not just because he sleeps with a woman that he thinks is his sister, not just because of all the fact that he digitally raped that one woman, or the other list of things that Tara Reid, the list of things that we could come up with. Not just because of that, but because we knew that he is incompetent. And so I say my argument is if we don't, we might as well take out the little 45, point it at our foot, and pull the trigger, because we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
That's what you might be doing if you do it, because then you're making it partisan. Here's the thing. There's an old saying, when your enemy is destroying yourselves, stand back and let them do it. Right?
No,
who's our real enemy?
I'm not saying it's not a good
Who's our real enemy? The real enemy is this. It's the press. They've known this for the last 4 years too.
And I think that my argument does that.
You're letting them off the hook then. The problem is you're letting them off the hook. They're literally they're getting off the hook. You should be is the scandal is you knew this all this time. How come you didn't do anything about it? You knew it back in 2020. How come you didn't do anything about it? Why should you cover this up?
We should be doing that too.
What they should be doing is calling the New York Times in, going, why did you put this fake news out? You reported fake news. Why'd you do that? You're covering it up. You're covering up his incompetence. You're helping cover it up. That's what they should be doing. They should be doing hearings on that with social media. Why are you covering up his complete incompetence? Because they're doing it today. What good is it? What good is it if the press gets away with this? And the American people have to look in their face going, we voted for Joe Biden. That was a mistake. What's wrong with us in our picture, in our world, that we need the approbation of these creeps in the press, that we need to be told that we're good people because we voted against Orange Man, right? And that's not going to happen if
the original
you carry the water for the evil
Man.
Democrats.
The original Orange Man.
The original Orange Man, right.
Yeah, not the fake copy.
So it's going to be an interesting 2 months, because I've always predicted he's not going anywhere unless we have an actual groping incident, which we're getting close to again and again. Now if they were smart,
I don't think the press will report that, John. I don't think the press will report
no,
that.
This time the gloves are off now. Stephanopoulos at us because the knives are out for a reason. The knives are out for a reason, because other people can swoop in now, right? No matter what, these people are greedy and they believe their own bullshit. They believe that Trump is horrible and he's and they're going. They have a good argument to make. The press will cover them up. The press has done a lot to cover up the fact that the inflation is 25%. Are you kidding me? The press has done everything they can to cover up the fact that all the high prices of gas.
Yep.
That all our lives have been crap for the last 3 years thanks to these clowns.
Yep.
Literally spending $2 trillion with a budget of $6 trillion, $2 trillion of it being they have to borrow, thereby inflating the currency every year 25, 50, 100, 400%. All car parts are 100%. Food in some places is 400% more. It's unbelievable. And they covered it up.
It's ridiculous.
So,
you can't fix your house
chance
because of the cost of lumber and everything.
So
it's ridiculous.
because of the evil people that are in the Democratic Party, and evil will eat itself, you can see a bunch of them trying to step forward to take him out. Right. And so let the evil, let all the, as Claudius says, let all the poison rise to the top in the mud. Right. Let all the poison come out. Like Claudius quote, let all the poison come forward.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point, John. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. We do need to take on the media. At this point, the media should be held accountable.
The media has to be held accountable for the cover up for the last 4 years, right? And this idea
that goes for Fox as well, because Fox got on the bandwagon, a good portion of it, not all of it. Like what's the British guy? I can't remember his name. I can't remember the guy, the economist, British guy, Stewart. He's good. Even Ducey's son, Peter Ducey. He was pretty good. But by and large, most of them, Greg Gutfeld, he's good. By and large, most of them are just like going along with the bandwagon. But John, I agree with you. We should go after the media, and this should be the story of the year. The media lied to us.
The cheap fake press.
Yep.
The cheap fake press.
You can't trust them. But people continue to watch them. I know somebody that, she has a certain nickname as corporate. And despite that, I tell her how bad the media is, she still every morning watches ABC News.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know too.
I can't break that.
Everything they say is lies.
and manipulation. Because
right.
Because they're not going to talk about this stuff with Biden. What they'll talk about with Biden is him being strong on this or strong on that, and they'll have the what's her name, the chick in the press room who will go out there and say, oh, it's so hard for me to keep up with Biden sometimes because the president is always moving. And, it's so, I can understand when she said now, I can understand now when she said it was hard to keep up with what he was saying because no one can understand him anyway.
I'm the guy who made NATO. I made NATO. I invented the computer chip. I made NATO. I'm the guy. I'm the guy who invented the computer chip.
Only inside his brain. But John, I didn't talk to you about this before, but I did want to talk to you about it because I got this thing. The immunity case got dropped this week. The immunity case came out. And I am going to say this. This immunity case, yes, it helps Trump, but it helps Joe Biden even more. It helps Joe Biden even more because he is now going to have and look, once again, Joe Biden can thank Donald Trump for handing him something great. Because not only did Donald Trump hand him the greatest economy in the world and the chance to get the bounce back and all those fake jobs that he said he claimed he made, now he actually will stay out of jail. Not that I think he would go to jail because he can now legitimately say that he's incompetent. He didn't know what he was doing. So he has, when he's going after Trump with the DOJ, he can say, that's immunity, presidential immunity, right? That's what he'll say because Trump did all the legwork. I just wanted to say that. It's just an interesting take that I took from VDH, by the way. Can't take credit for it. I was listening to VDH the other day, and he's like the biggest beneficiary of this immunity case is Joe Biden, because he's been the biggest criminal that we've had hold that office. I don't know. I can't even think of.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's a crap decision because, again, the Supreme Court is the imperial judiciary. They don't seem to understand this, and so they break it down that there are official acts that are absolutely immunity for, but then there are personal acts that they say you're not immune for. And then there's a third category, like the outer. It's the outer. Wait, I wrote it down because it's such a weird way of saying it. The outer perimeter of acts, right? Which you're presumptively immune for, meaning you're presumed they have to prove that there's enough evidence to overcome the presumption, right? So that's how it got sent back to Chucklin, and the DC case got sent back to DC because there wasn't any fact finding in any of these judges. Now, this is the useless Supreme Court, though, right? Because if there's only one for the immunity, there's only one person in all the government that is actually immune, and it is the president. And he's not completely immune because if it's treason, bribery, high crimes, meaning felonies, or misdemeanors, first you impeach him, and then you can actually charge him for the criminal nature of like that, right? But you have to impeach him first. You don't impeach him, then guess what? He is immune for all those acts during his presidency and afterwards their presidency. It's that simple. But they want to create this stupid test. They're saying it's personal acts. The problem is they're a bunch of idiots. They have no idea. So the president, because of the modern presidency and the fact that you have the nuclear football, you don't have any act that you're doing that's not private. Everything you could be sitting, you could be, Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky. And in comes the door with the colonel with the nuclear football. There's nothing you have no privacy. You have no time off. It's not like you can get on a plane and go to a, they would say, well, if you're doing an election, if you're doing this for the election, then that's a private act, right? That's what some of the language in the immunity decision. Well, the problem with that is, so say you do that. Say you go off and you're in Wisconsin and you're doing a rally. Boom, the door kicks open, the colonel comes in with the nuclear football. That's the end. You don't have any time off as president. It's the only position. So it's a stupid decision. It's a ridiculous decision. They should have just said, yes, he has absolute immunity. All these cases, because we can go on there. We can see the New York case happened, the New York case in the affidavit for the New York case. I mean, in the charging document for the New York case, it says February 2017. Listen, that's it. And then March 2017, and then February 2017, this happened. Who was president in then? Donald Trump. Boom, immune. Kick the case out. They should have done that with all 4 cases, right? They should have done it with all 4 cases, but they didn't because they're a bunch of clowns. They are a bunch of. It's the imperial judiciary who voted themselves absolute immunity when no way did anybody ever say they have absolute immunity, right? Nowhere, no way. Did any founding fathers did it? They voted themselves this, then they give it to their friends, the cops, and now you see the degradation of all private rights and all citizens' rights, right, including the presidency. So again, they failed in their job. And now they have this test, and so they have. Personal acts, whatever the hell that is. I just made a point. There's this thing as president, right? But imagine if you can imagine a personal act. And then there's a middle area where the outer perimeter, like what are those acts, right? It's only one thing. Are you president? There's a bright line question from the Constitution. Are you president? If you're president, boom, you got to impeach him. That's it. That's it. That's it. You got to impeach him now. You got to impeach him. You don't impeach him, he's immune. Period. That's it. It's that simple. So I don't know. That's stupid. Will anybody have the because people have to go to jail for this, right? People have to go to jail for going into Barron's room and playing in his underwear drawer, for going in Melania's room and playing in his underwear. Donald Trump, God bless his soul, is on tape saying, listen, why, defending him not arresting Hillary. He said, so what are you going to do? You're going to lock up the president's wife? You're going to lock up the president, Bill Clinton's wife? Are you going to lock up a past State Department head in charge of the State Department? How bad does that make us look? Well, if we turn into a third world nation, he's on the record saying that before they before because he would do that. Mr. Dictator wouldn't do that himself. So how big a bunch of creeps these are. So Pandora's box has been opened. And the only way to shut Pandora's box is to prosecute Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, and the creeps who enabled Trump to do this, who had no law, had no basis of law, swore an oath, or didn't swear an oath in Jack Smith's case, and illegally used positions, official positions, to personally prosecute their political rivals, violating every constitutional norm. They literally used the government to violate the due process rights of the president, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, and lock them up and potentially put them in jail. So for that, they need to go to jail. And good old Judge Merchant and good old Judge Erdogan too, because they're physically corrupt. Judge Merchant's family has received money to prosecute Trump. That is out and out political corruption. That needs to be addressed. He needs to go to jail. And so these people need to go to jail just to hopefully shut Pandora's box, because otherwise we're a third world nation. And you can, oh, you're doing this, you're just as bad as them. No, they started it. They have to pay a price for this. That's the facts of life. I don't know if you get the quote, the great quote of Thomas Sowell and Dave Rubin, when Dave Rubin says, I was a liberal, and then I'm not now, and I got woken up, but you used to be a socialist, and then he asked the great Thomas Sowell, the national treasure is Thomas Sowell, the black economist, the only real economist we have. He asked him, what changed it for you? And Thomas Sowell goes, facts. Right? There has to be, as Maggie Thatcher said, the facts of life are conservative, right? There has to be a consequence, right, to the reaction to your actions. Merrick Garland and these people who perverted the law and perverted the government need to pay the price and to go to jail for it. Even if Biden doesn't, they have to, so that anybody in the future knows that they're not going to get a pardon. They knows that they're not going to get away with this, and you don't lock up your political rivals. You do not do that. You do not do that. It's called political corruption. You do not misuse the powers of the government that way. And if you do, you go to jail. It's that simple. Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, right? There is no such thing as immunity except for the president of the United States. Judges don't have it. When the judges act badly, they go to jail too, right? And it's about time that we ended the imperial presidency. So I'm all for that. But it's also, more importantly, we end the imperial bureaucracy and the imperial judiciary, because that's where we are. Forget about it. Let's get rid of the entire imperial president. Let's go back, as good old Trump has proposed, get rid of the federal government, just run it on the tariffs. Let's go back to the tariffs and to a government so small that's only run on tariffs. No more income tax, no more taxes, just a tariff. Run it on that.
Here you go, brother.
Line of thinking.
Facts. Well,
we could probably end the interview right there.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's it. The best line ever. What changed your mind? Facts.
So it's like winning an election when there's only one person running.
So then what was your wake up to what was wrong with that line of thinking?
Facts. Well,
there you go, brother.
Facts of life are conservative. Maggie Thatcher.
There you go. All right. Well, brother, that's our hour.
All right.
All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, please, 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 let me remind you one last time. We have the Banana Republic. We have I Prefer Dangerous Freedom. We have Free Trump, where we're all felons now. And welcome to the Banana Republic. And I am the anomaly. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that wonderful note, have yourself a great evening. Take care, brother. It's all good.
Because God loves you. 4th of July, hear it.
Because God loves you.
It's still America. They're letting off the the fireworks. God love it.
It's because you're living in a free state, brother.
Or it could just be gunfire. I am in Philadelphia.
Could be gunfire.
Could just be gunfire.
Could be. All right. On that note, take care, everybody. Have a great night.
The instant you feel yourself losing control, go back to knock. That's the whole purpose of this drill.
for the warning sign. Giddiness, shortness of breath, claustrophobia. They can hit you at any moment. Your insides feel like this rubber glove. Now, does everyone understand the exercise? All right. Begin the exercises now.
Little girl poopies to the left, little boy poopies to the right. How bad you want to survive? I don't believe what I'm seeing. Where you been all your lives? At an orgy? Listening to Mick Jagger music and bad-mouthing your country, I'll bet.
Can't touch me, it's against the law. You're full of crap.
Take him to the little room.
I can't take this. This is offensive.
Stop eyeballing me, boy. And the only thing between you and the POW camp is what you learned from me. You want to survive bad enough to stop me, pussy? Or are you reliant on my generosity, my love of humanity to stop me from killing you?
Fucking cockroach.
But